So I just watched John Wick presents a John Wick story, The Continental. It's a John Wick prequel. It's a limited series on Amazon. There's one episode out as I'm recording this, and there's gonna be only three total. I remember hearing about this like a while ago that they were thinking of making a show based on the Continental, the assassin hotel from the John Wick series, which, if you've seen the John Wick movies, sounds like a cool premise for a show. So, like, I think what happened is they're like, yeah, cool, Continental show based on the hotel. It's such a John Wick has such a cool world and such cool world building. I just want to see like more about it and stuff. So it's like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And then they realize, okay, but making a show about a building is not a concept. It's not a story. So we have to like make it about a character. So it ends up being a prequel about Winston, Ian McShane's character, who runs the hotel in the movies. This is in the 70s, and it's about how he gets the hotel. So it's one of those prequels, one of those Star Wars bullshit where it's like, let's see how Han Solo got his car. So I'm very very mixed on this. I enjoyed watching it. It's one of those prequel. It made me just realize like how, oh cool, it's another fucking prequel spin-off expanded universe nonsense which we have so much of already, and like we don't get new, it feels like we don't get new things anymore, and I'm sure there are new things that are out, but I'm watching this instead apparently. So here's the thing. It's a John Wick, it's set in the John Wick universe, which means it's got some pretty good action. However, you could tell that Chad Stileski is not involved. It shows. It's very evident. Like, even just the way it's shot is like so much more generic. It doesn't just have that like vibe, that really highly stylized. I don't even know how to describe it exactly, but John Wick has like a very specific look to it, and this doesn't really have that. Now, it's not a badly shot show. It looks good. There are many shots that I think are very good. The action is well made. However, John Wick raised the bar so much in the action department, just across the board, for everything, that the standard is like just so much higher. If this show came out exactly how it was 10 years ago, I would be blown away. I'd be like, holy shit, the action in this show is so good. But like, the bar has been fucking raised, and every subsequent John Wick movie does everything it can to keep raising that bar. John Wick 4 came out this same year, and it had some of the craziest fucking shit in any of the John Wick movies, which are already insanely good action movies. So this one has like a stairwell fight that's done to look like it's in one take, and it's okay, like it's that kind of stuff. It has like a lot of long, they let the action be all in wide long takes, which I appreciate, but there's like a lot more really obvious, something goes in front of the camera to hide a wipe and that kind of stuff. The show opens with this long one take of one of the main characters walking through the hotel, and there's like this party going on, and there's like several really obvious cuts, and it's like, we've seen other shows and stuff do these long takes, like it's very very popular thing to do, and they do it all in one take. Like it's doable. If you're gonna like do it, you gotta do it. If you're gonna do a long take, you gotta do a long take, or you gotta be really clever with the cuts, or you gotta be like doing something so crazy that I'm okay with there being a few noticeable cuts. And it doesn't do any of those things. John Wick 4 had the craziest one-take fight we've ever seen. And that's saying something because we've gotten so many in recent years. But that's sort of the thing, is it's like it is well made. The action is well choreographed. It's even shot mostly very well, but it doesn't hit the same because the standard is so. We've got like so many other like what I call Wick-like movies where it's similar in style and execution and like structure to John Wick movies. Movies like Nobody, or maybe even, you know, that one has the same writer as the first John Wick and stuff. But it's, you know, very good action, simple premise, interesting world, very stylized. Also stuff like Atomic Blonde fits in there. Even some stuff on Netflix, like in one year we had Gunpowder Milkshake and Kate, I think it was called, with Elizabeth Winston, what's her name? Mary Elizabeth Winston. Which are like both, I don't know. Anyways, we get like these kind of movies all the time is what I'm getting at now, because of how much like John Wick changed the landscape of action movies. So you can't just mimic John Wick, you know, especially if you're connected to that franchise. You gotta really give me something I haven't seen before. And I know this is a show and it's got probably a much smaller budget than the movies, but man, it's just like I should be enjoying it more than I am, and it's really just that like that's how fucking good John Wick is, that the bar is just raised that high. Like the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out this year had like very good action in it, and it like was completely inconsequential to that movie. It's just like a fun action comedy, fantasy, adventure, solid 7 out of 10 movie. But it has like some pretty good action that's shot very well, shot a lot in long takes, a lot of wide takes. There's like a fun scene where Michelle Rodriguez beats up a few guys with a brick. Like it's creative and cool. And it doesn't need to be, but that's just like how action movies look now. At least the like ones that are trying. So like you really gotta go all out. You know, like you really gotta give it your all. You can't just be inspired by John Wick. You know, you can't just be like kind of similar. You really gotta fucking go for it. The other thing that's like frustrating me a little with this one is the prequel stuff, which I should have expected, because oh no, I'm disappointed that a prequel was a prequel. It's missing what's cool about the John Wick universe and like kind of focusing on the wrong things. So number one, it's about Winston, right? Who is like not really an assassin, right? He just owns the hotel that the assassins come in, that they live in. Well, they like hang out in. So it's like kind of a weird character to be focusing on for this universe. Number two, the thing that's like cool about the universe of John Wick is that it feels like it has all this backstory and history and like all these characters and all this stuff that already exists and has been operating for a long time, and we're just like jumping right into it. Like it feels like there was a whole like series of John Wick movies that happened before the first movie, and the first movie is like the legacy sequel to some series of movies we've never heard of. And the way it like slowly introduces us to this world, and like we slowly learn more and more about it, but without like ever fully like going into John's full backstory. We hear a lot about it, but we never see like flashbacks. We never do any of that shit. Which is like the things that make it kind of interesting, is that it's like this fully lived in world that already exists and is operating, and we just like get a sneak peek of it. Exploring the backstory of some of the elements of the John Wick universe in a prequel kind of robs some of the mystery of the whole world. It's like, it's the Star Wars prequel shit. Sometimes it's better when stuff isn't left fully explained. I don't really care about where the stuff I love comes from. I just love the stuff I love. And it's also like a kind of weird way of going about it too, because the way that they like do it in this show, at least, is that like the Continental already exists and is operating how it already did, like in the movies. So instead of like an origin of like how the hotel became what it is, it's like how Winston acquired the hotel. It's weird. Like the hotel is just running how it basically always did, except that Mel Gibson is currently the owner, and I'm assuming by the end he'll be dead and Winston will have the hotel. I don't even think that's a spoiler because like we know it's a prequel thing, right? Sharon, however you pronounce his name, Lance Henriksen's character is also there, but he's like already working at the hotel. So, okay, like I would like more about him and Winston, and maybe we'll get that more in the next couple episodes. I don't know. Like that seems like there's an interesting story somewhere in there, because they have a really interesting relationship in the movies, and also just those actors are great. Like a big part of what makes Sharon, or the concierge, like such a memorable character is 100% just Lance Henriksen's performance. Rest in peace, my dude. Gone too soon. Everything he's in is great. Okay, I'm gonna go briefly into spoilers, unless I'm wrong, because I'm pretty sure I've predicted the like overarching what the rest of the next two episodes are gonna be, plus what the ending of the show is. And it's because it's a prequel, so I'm like trying to figure out what dumb things they're gonna set up, and like why we're like focusing on certain characters and stuff. I know my prediction could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I figured out what the rest of the show is going to be, which has also been like a little frustrating to me, because I'm like not as interested to see what happens next, because I'm pretty sure I figured all of it out and it doesn't sound that interesting to me. Which part of that is because it's a prequel, and part of that is because I think it's kind of dumb if I'm right. So spoilers maybe if my prediction is correct. Skip to this time or whatever. So, okay, Winston is our main guy, and then the other characters that we meet are Winston's older brother, who is an assassin who works associated with the hotel. He's got all the John Wick moves you expect from a John Wick assassin type character. And then he has an Asian girlfriend it's his wife, I think they specified. And you know, they're like they steal the coin press thing that makes the gold assassin coins, which I guess there's only one of, and it is in the hotel, and they steal it, and now they're on the run, and that's like the plot, and Winston gets wrapped into this plot and all that. So they show, and Winston's brother, I forget his name, but he's got a very John Wick type look. He's got the suits. He is very skilled in assassinating people. He's got some of the tattoos we see a lot of in the John Wick universe. And then he's got an Asian girlfriend, right? So, and he's got a similar haircut to John Wick. And then dies at the end of this first episode, and so now it's Winston and the girlfriend, and they're like, we want revenge now. So I'm 1,000,000% sure, but I could be wrong, that she is pregnant and she's gonna give birth to John, and then she's gonna die, and so that's gonna be the thing that like sets up why Winston has like a bit of a fatherly kind of connection to John Wick, our boy, which like sets up, because it's, you know, Keanu Reeves is half Asian or a quarter Asian or something. I don't remember his specific family history offhand, but then that would fit in with, Asian mom, white dad. That's close enough to whatever specific mix Keanu is. So that explains that element of who John Wick is. And then I think he's an orphan. I think they do it. I established that in the third movie, and that he's eventually raised by these like Russian assassin peoples, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. That's the whole thing. Is that like, and that's the thing that's like getting me. Is it's like I think that's the whole thing that the show is building to John Wick being born and Winston like having like promising that he'll look after him. And I think that's dumb. Because number one, having him like be blood related to Winston, I think kind of ruins some of the interesting connection between the two, because part of it is that we don't really know about like why specifically Winston does seem to have invested interest in John in the first place. Like, it definitely is like a father-son type relationship, kind of, but them not really fully explaining it is sort of what makes it interesting. And if it's literally just that he's related to him, then that's kind of any like nuance that could be there is sort of gone, in my opinion. Plus, then, like, it also feels like they're trying to explain, like, why John Wick is such a good assassin. It's like, oh, well, because his parents were both, like, super badass assassins. It's like, you don't know. No, the reason is that he trained a bunch. We saw that in the third movie where we meet the people that trained him. He was an orphan before, and then he trained a bunch, and now he's a super assassin. That's all you need. You don't need to. It's the prequel stuff. We don't need to explain why John Wick is cool. We just need to understand that he is. Plus, like, it doesn't even mean anything because Winston is not an assassin, and like, is not that good. If we see him fight a little bit in this show, but like he's not like that good at it because he doesn't have training. His brother got a bunch of assassin training. That's why he's good at fighting. It has nothing to do with blood, so you shouldn't need to be like, his parents don't need to also be assassins. That's stupid. Plus, they establish in this movie or in this episode or whatever that they like purposefully find like orphans and street kids and like train them from when they're super young, which was like kind of always the implication with John Wick, was that he was an orphan and then this super assassin organization found him and raised him and trained him. So, and that's what happened to the characters in this. So I don't know, all of it is dumb and I don't like it. I think that's what they're building to, which is like frustrating because I don't need to know who John Wick's parents are. I don't care. Oh yeah, also, the episode ends with after his brother gets killed, he goes back to this guy they met earlier on the episode, and he's like, and they're like, oh, can I help you? And he's like, I need guns, lots of guns. Which is very stupid, because that's not a line from John Wick, that's a line from The Matrix. The reason John Wick says it in one of the John Wick movies is because he's played by Keanu Reeves, who was in The Matrix. The whole fucking series is full of like little nods to The Matrix because it's directed by Chad Stahelski, Keanu's main stunt double and one of the key stunt coordinators on The Matrix movies. So you can reference The Matrix when Keanu is there. It doesn't fucking make any sense to reference The Matrix when Keanu's not involved. It's stupid. It's like they just completely forgot that was a line from The Matrix first and not a line from John Wick. Like, that's why it's fun that it's a little nod. I shouldn't have to explain this because it's really obvious, but the show for some reason didn't know that line only works when Keanu says it. It's stupid. It's dumb. Okay. The last little thing I want to talk about is, again, the like premise of the show and like why it's called the Continental, because most of the show doesn't take place at the Continental. Like, some of it does, but most of it doesn't, because they're like the characters are like on the run from the assassin people, and Winston gets like roped into this plot line with his brother and stuff. So a lot of the stuff isn't taking place at the assassin hotel that is the thing that's interesting and that we've only seen a small amount of in the actual movies. So some of the things I actually did like about the show so far is like this when we do see a little bit more like world building and stuff about this universe. Like they introduced these this assassin pair that are just called the twins, and they're like creepy and foreign and weird and have bad haircuts and like hardly say anything, and they're just weird and creepy and they look cool. Love them. No notes. Perfect weird John Wick assassin characters. More of them, please. The other characters that I kind of liked, and this is the things I kind of liked, I'm realizing, are the things that are actually new, is there's this black brother-sister duo who are, like, tangentially related to the, like, assassin world and stuff. And they're, like, running guns and stuff like that. And they're giving me kind of, like, Black Panther-type vibes. Not T'Challa, the, like, political organization, which is like the only element in this whole show that like feels like the 70s. I don't remember if I mentioned this yet, but the show takes place in the 70s, I'm pretty sure, because it's a prequel, but like you can't really tell. Most of it is like guys in suits shooting each other, which is like all the John Wick movies look like that. It could be kind of any time, really. There's occasionally some stuff, but not really. John Wick already has this not quite anachronistic, but definitely like very almost timeless kind of vibe to it. It's a lot of people in suits and fancy cars that could be from kind of whatever era, you know? And this looks mostly the same except for way less neon, which is disappointing. There isn't really like that much that feels like 70s about it, which is, I think, another like, you're missing what's like fun about the thing you're doing, because John Wick's already like so hyper stylized. It'd be like, oh, we're doing a 70s style 70s John Wick. That sounds awesome. Like that sounds like it would look so cool, and like you can barely even tell that that's when it's supposed to take place, which is disappointing. Yeah, those two characters, this like Black Panther-esque duo, look 70s as hell, and that's what I appreciate. Like a blaxploitation John Wick movie, that sounds fucking awesome. More of that. And that's the thing, is it's like you're missing what's fun about this world. It's like just give me like an anthology series that takes place at the hotel. Ideally Lance Hendrickson would be alive, but just have him. Don't even have Winston be in it. Maybe he shows up in one episode very briefly. But then just have like stories that take place in the hotel about different assassins we haven't seen before. That would be cool. That's like all I need, is just like cool assassins doing cool, weird John Wick assassin secret underworld stuff. That's all I need. Like at one point, I don't know if this is still happening, but at one point they were planning a spin-off of John Wick just called The Ballerina, and it was going to be about, in the third movie we see like some of the people that raised John Wick, and they have these like ballerinas who are also assassins, we assume, because everyone in the John Wick universe is secretly an assassin, and it was going to be just like about one of them. Who's like in the background for like one scene of John Wick 3. And like that I think is the perfect like way to do like a spin-off of John Wick, is like pick like a background character or like a side character who has an extremely small role and just like show us what their daily life is like, because it's probably cool. And just like it's just like expand the world without like explaining what everything is. It's what I want. Just show me more cool things. Don't explain what they are. My last little gripe, and this isn't really the fault of the show, it's more just like a common trend that's happening, is what is the actual title? If I'm remembering it right, it's The Continental from the World of John Wick. Because we can't just call something the Continental because you might not realize it's supposed to be connected to John Wick. So we got to put John Wick in there somewhere, which is fine. I get why it's there. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like we've gotten a lot of these recently. We had, of course, the like Star Wars story movies, which lasted 2 whole movies before they completely abandoned that. Then you got like El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. You got Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. You got from the Book of Saw, Spiral, like all this shit where it's like we want to try something a little bit different with this franchise, but we're afraid that you won't know that it's connected to this franchise. We got to put the title of the franchise in there somewhere, even if it's clunky as fuck. And none of them have like really been successful, in my opinion. Like years ago, there was a movie called U.S. Marshals, and it's like sort of a sequel to The Fugitive, but about just Tommy Lee Jones' character and then like some new characters or whatever. And they didn't put like from the world of The Fugitive, U.S. Marshals or any of that shit. They just called it U.S. Marshals. And is The Fugitive based on a book? I don't know. No, it's based on a show. I don't know. I haven't seen U.S. Marshals, so I have no idea if it's even any good. But my point is, they didn't. Like, they just trusted you to either know that it's the same character or were confident enough in the movie itself that they felt like it could stand on its own, and you could just watch it as its own thing and be satisfied with it. But like with all this other shit, they're like, no, we gotta. People might not know it's John Wick. We gotta put John Wick in the title, even if he's not in the show. I don't know. And also, this is because they don't make original things anymore. Everything is like, it's like the closest. That's what I think the other thing is. It's the closest we get to an original thing is a thing that's a spin-off of something. Like that feels like the closest thing we get to a new idea nowadays. Like, you got shit like Pennyworth, which is a Batman prequel about Alfred Pennyworth, which I'm sure tons of Batman fans don't even know that that's his last name. Because they don't say it in any of the movies or anything. It's like mostly just in the comics. And like, Batman's a hugely popular character, but I don't think the majority of people could tell you his butler's last name. But that show has had at least 3 seasons, and then I am not making this up. In like the 3rd season, they retitled the show to being called Pennyworth: The Origin of Batman's Butler, which is the dumbest shit ever. Not the origin of Bruce Wayne's butler, Batman's butler. It just sounds so fucking stupid. Because also that's what it is. Like, it's not an inaccurate subtitle. It's just like so dumb when you explain what the show is. But for some reason, it's had multiple seasons, so somebody must have watched it. I'm willing to bet that it was by accident. That it actually, because I don't know anyone who's watched it, but apparently someone has, because it's gotten at least 3 seasons, which is insane. However, I think it's by accident. I think that people just accidentally tuned into Pennyworth, not knowing what that was, and it's like so far removed from Batman because it's so many years before, and it's just like him being a British spy or whatever. I don't know. I haven't seen the show, but apparently someone has. And I'm willing to bet that enough people just casually watched it, not knowing that it was related to Batman, that's how it got more than 1 season. But then, of course, you can't. The Warner Brothers loses confidence, and they're like, "We gotta just let people know it's about Batman," sort of. So put that in the thing. I don't know. I'm right. I'm off the tracks here. The Continental, the origin of John Wick's hotel. it's a 3-part thing, so I might just watch the rest of it because there's only 2 more. However, they are like long ass episodes. The first one's like 88 minutes or something, so they're like an hour and a half. So it ends up being like the same length of a fucking Star Wars show or whatever. Anyways, I don't know. John Wick 4 ended on such a high note. And it's like, is it a mistake to try to continue the franchise? Probably. Did I still enjoy parts of this? Yeah. And I do like the world. Is that enough for me to watch more? I don't know. I also just hate everything. So it could just be that. I'm a bitter old man in spirit. But let me know. What did you have you watched the Continental, the origin of John Wick's butler? Are you interested in it at all? What are your thoughts? Are you planning on watching more? Are you planning on watching any? I don't know. I'm buying myself time until the Fall of the House of Usher comes out. I need something to do with my time. That's it for me. Thank you for watching. I am working on some stuff. We got more Teen Titans videos coming very soon. I've recorded the first 4 episodes of season 3. I just have to finish editing them, and then I got one other tangentially related video that's like loosely connected to Teen Titans that'll come out just before we start on the season 3 episodes. And that's gonna come out very soon. I'm aiming for mid-October, so hold me to that, I guess. That's it. Subscribe for more videos. We'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.